Ducktails, duck's ass, duck butt, the DA. You guys ever wanted to know where it comes from and who created it? Hey, what's going on, maniacs? You know who it is, Madman here. So old Madman had been sitting around thinking of different topics that I could cover, because I don't just want to always do hair and clothes and things like that. And I figured I wanted to do more history and more topics. And I was thinking about some of the different hairstyles that we all sport, the ones we've all known to all come to know and love, like the ducktail, the duck's ass, the duck butt, the DA. You know what I'm talking about. The iconic 1950s rebellion hairstyle, where the sides, or you slick the sides back and then you pull them into the back, pull it in nice and tight and split it down the middle, and it represents what is known as a duck's ass, because that's what it looks like, or a ducktail. But how many of you guys actually wondered who started it and where it came from? Well, if you have an inquisitive mind like myself, well, stay tuned, because the madman's going to tell you. So, doing a little research, I was able to narrow it down with the man who is credited of creating the ducktail. Now, as we all know, this could have taken off in a few places throughout the country, and it may not have just been one person, but at least we do know on record that one man is credited with creating the ducktail. And that man would be a South Philadelphia barber by the name of Joe Cirello in the early 1940s, was credited with starting the whole ducktail movement. And again, for those that don't know what a ducktail is or are unsure, duck's ass, duck butt, ducktail, it's all the same thing. A DA, it's all the same thing, and it all means it's all the same style. And there are a few different variations of said style. The classic ducktail is where you take the sides and you slick them back, you roll it in, split it down the middle, and leave the hair a bit shaggy and long in the back. Then, of course, you have another variation of the ducktail, which is the square back ducktail. And that's where, again, you pull the sides back, you roll it in, but the bottom is completely squared off. So basically, I don't think that the square back looks as natural because it rolls in and then it just cuts. It's like a straight line versus the classic, which is kind of feathered out in the back and it's longer and it looks a little more wild, a little more rebellious. That's just the madman's opinion. But Joe Cirello is credited with creating the ducktail in the early 1940s, and apparently it took a little while to kind of get off the ground and capture some movement. But it became very quickly adopted by the 1950s rock and roll ruffian youth, the disenfranchised youth that the media would have portrayed them to be. So anybody, of course, wearing a ducktail was, of course, a juvenile delinquent and a troublemaker, most likely in a gang, rode motorcycles, did all kinds of stuff, raced cars around the city. No, I'm not going to lie and say that they didn't, because some did. But, of course, just because you have a certain hairstyle doesn't mean that you're about certain things. We know this now. But the 1950s were a very different time. I mean, think about this for a sec. Traditional 1950s men's hairstyles were very bland looking. Bland, simple to do, clean, very clean. They're always, cleaned up edges around the ears, cleaned up square back or a natural taper in the back, shorter on the top. Not too short, but shorter than what a greaser would probably wear. This is the era of your crew cuts and your square backs and getting that real tapered up and very squared look to yourself, to look proper, to, present yourself properly in society. But as the ducktail developed, of course, Hollywood took notice because it had this interest with the rock and roll rebellion youth of the 1950s, the rebels, the greasers, So Hollywood came knocking and other celebrities came knocking, and you started seeing it in the movies. Anytime some kind of a, rebellious, troublemaking youth was shown in TV shows or movies typically had a ducktail. Elvis Presley was known for sporting his pompadour with his ducktail. Brought a lot of attention to it. And of course, because all the cool cats, the celebrities, and movie stars were doing it, well, hell, everybody else wanted to do it too. That's kind of like how society is now. You see your favorite musician or rapper wear a certain thing, you want to wear it too. Right? But the ducktail has gone down in history as one of the most influential hairstyles out of the 1950s that everything from celebrities, movie stars, and all the cool kids were wearing back in the, 1940s, especially in the 1950s. Oh, and don't think for a second it was just here in America. The UK used to sport it as well. The rockers and the teddy boys were known for their really extreme ducktails and their elephants' trunks and pompadours, or as they would call quiffs. They were doing it too over the pond. So for all my cousins over the pond, you guys rock. But anyway, old Madman thought this was kind of an interesting topic, why we do it, why it's still a thing, and where it came from. So if you don't have a ducktail, a duck butt, a DA, a duck's ass, or whatever you want to call it, make sure to visit your local barber shop, get yourself all trimmed up, and get yourself a nice, sleek ducktail, because don't touch my ducktail. You touch my ducktail, I'd be so mad at you. You dig? So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you do, make sure you like and subscribe, share, favorite, click the little notification bell wherever the hell that is. Make sure you keep up to date with all the Madman's antics, history lessons, pomade tutorials, reviews, clothing deals, and all kind of greaser and rockabilly related subculture shit. Make sure you go out and get a ducktail if you don't have one. Tell them Madman recommended it. And as always, if you don't know, get a clue, get a brew, get a rock and roll tattoo, and a ducktail. Hang loose, be safe, and the Madman will catch you on the flip side. Madman out. So, did you dig this video and find it helpful? If so, give it a like, subscribe, favorite, share. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and consider subscribing to my Patreon for more rockin' content.